Hello everyone to this Halloween edition Rep Talk. Today my special guest is Marlene McAllen from our North Community Center, Recreational Supervisor. So today's topic, or I should say edition, would be about Halloween. We're going to go ahead and talk a little bit about Halloween, some of the things that we used to do back then as a child. So my very first question to you would be what were some of the costumes that you used to dress up as a child?
As a child, I feel like I was always Barbie.
Barbie?
Like when kinder through second grade, I was like a sport Barbie, then I was like skater girl Barbie, and then I did like volleyball Barbie. I feel like we would always reuse the costumes,
right,
just to keep holding on to it, and then we just add me like holding the volleyball to be like
now,
Barbie volleyball.
You dressed up as Barbie because you used to own a lot of Barbies, or it was just a...
I was obsessed with Barbies. I had a variety of Barbie dolls, so I always wanted to be Barbie. One year, I remember I was like a gypsy, but there were like 4 of my friends who were all gypsies, and it was like a Halloween contest. So they gave us all the same award because we all had the same gypsy costume.
Now, I remember for like 4 years in a row, I was like a vampire. And I guess every year my mom would buy me some type of accessories to it, like the medallion or the cape and so on. But, you know, I got to admit, I was very embarrassed when it came to Halloween, when it came to school. So my mom worked at a school, the library clerk. And it was very embarrassing when we had to have our hallway Halloween contest.
Yeah.
And mom forcefully made me dress up as like the Tin Man. And I remember specifically with a whole bunch of cardboard, and I could not move, but I guess it made it seem like I was full of tin. And I have cardboard everywhere, and I just remember throughout, by the time of the morning, towards the very end, pieces were just falling off, little by little. And it was the most embarrassing thing ever. I think I did win first place. I recall that's my embarrassing moment.
You see, and it's funny because my mom worked at the elementary school that I went to. So I had the same kind of concept where I was like forced to participate in the Halloween contest throughout the hallways and stuff. And my mom would tell her teacher friends, make sure you look at my daughter, and all my friends would laugh and stuff. So we have that in common.
Now, did you ever go to like Halloween festivals? A lot of people know about Micah's, fairs. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I believe ever since I can remember, maybe about 6 years old through age 12 or 13. It was kind of a family tradition that my family and I would go to our local fall festival from the city that we we're originally from. And it was kind of cool because it was very local and small, from a small town. So we could see everybody, like our neighbors, family, friends. I used to do volunteer hours with the little like coin tosses, like the rings with the bottles, very simple. You would get your tickets to ride the hay bales and pet the little goats and the horses.
I remember going to some, and they used to have, I don't know if they had it there, but let's see how far we can take this. But there used to be a cattle trader, and they used to represent a jail.
Yes, okay, we had that one too.
So randomly you would go to the bailiff and you would tell them, hey, I want to put this person in jail.
Yeah.
And wherever you were at, you tell them the costume, the description, you point them out, and all of a sudden the sheriff would arrive, you're arrested, and you would go into this cattle trailer that symbolized the jail. You would be there about 5-10 minutes.
Yeah. And of course, it was all for jokes.
It was all for jokes.
It was a lot of fun. Yeah, we had that too.
Yeah, my dad had me in that cage for a while. I don't know why, but it happened.
Yeah, it was fun.
And then we also had, obviously, the hiding contest. We had cakewalk was a big thing.
Yeah, we had you would pay like I think $1 or like 4 tickets to pie somebody in the face.
Okay.
So we had that too at our festival.
Now, did you guys have a haunted house?
We had one where we would go for my church, and then we had one at school.
Okay.
So our elementary school, the teachers would put together a little haunted house. I personally can tell you, I never once went into the haunted house at school because I was very, very scared. I didn't actually go into a haunted house until like the 8th grade, and I have never returned to a haunted house ever since then.
So,
I was 13.
Are you one that gets scared and cries, or gets scared and screams?
I think I get scared and I cry and I scream, and then I'll cry again, and I'll just stay crying. It's so funny because you go into the haunted house thinking, you know what, it's just people in costumes, it's just fake blood or whatever.
Right.
But once you're in there, I start panicking and I get real scared and I just want to like run out.
Yeah. So you would say your first experience or anything like that scary, your first instinct is just to run.
Yeah.
Drop everything you gotta
Yeah,
run.
just run. I'll leave my friends behind in the haunted house.
And then you're by yourself.
Yeah, I can distinctly recall being in the 8th grade. It was me and 3 of my other friends, and we got dropped off by our parents to go to the haunted house. And it was the first day of the opening for that haunted house. It was called the Rotting Flesh Factory. And Rotting Flesh Factory. Yeah, so the name says it all. I remember the promos on the radio was it's an old haunted building or like a meat shop and all this stuff.
Oh, wow.
And you could smell it. It's like they added scents to make it smell
Right.
like rotting flesh. I just remember going in there and it was like you're like suctioned with like these paper bags. And as soon as you walk through, when you come out, there's a man with a chainsaw. I booked it. I ran, and I remember looking back, and I didn't see my friends anymore. But that's the last time
I've never done that. I wouldn't want to do that. My first reaction is punching. I get scared, and the first thing I do without thinking is push off. And I'm so afraid that I will hit someone.
So have you been to the haunted house?
I have not. Well, I actually went, okay, so I've been to the Ripley, believe it or not, in San Antonio, that wax museum and so on. And I thought that was a haunted house, but it was a haunted section where they have a wax museum. But I don't remember, I had my eyes closed the whole thing.
Yeah.
And then when I went to the actual haunted house, I don't remember anything because I just had my eyes closed and I kept singing. Just, I kept following words in front of me. I ended up being in the front. I just hear people screaming. They don't touch anything.
Yeah,
they
of
don't
course
touch
not.
me, but I can't even tell you that was the experience I had because I had my eyes closed. I'm not one for that. When I get scared, I punch, run, and then laugh. And then I don't even know after that, I'm kind of just jittery.
I have nightmares.
I don't watch scary movies. I don't believe in pain to get scared. I pay to laugh, but not to get scared.
I'll watch certain Halloween movies, like the old Disney classics, like Under Wraps. I don't remember Under Wraps. Under Wraps was a super good one. Halloween Town, like all the Halloween Towns. I think there was Twitch. No. It's with 2 sisters, and it was a Halloween theme for Disney. All the Disney Halloween movies, like I'll watch those. But like the actual like scary Halloween one.
Well, that's not really a scary one.
Like, well, I like
Exorcist.
the one with Michael Myers.
Okay.
Which is that? Drawing blank.
Yeah, we'll come back to that. We'll put the video on the screen.
Yeah, but those I can watch those, but something super scary.
Well, I've actually started watching, which just has nothing to do with anything that's scary, but something about watching Harry Potter. I've been watching the Harry Potter. I started watching it last year because we did have one of our events that was themed Harry Potter, and it just ties within, I guess, the feeling of October and all that. But growing up, I didn't watch anything scary. Tales of the Crypt was one of the shows that I randomly would watch. Nickelodeon, which I did not have cable, but my cousins did. They had a show called Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Yes. Oh my God, that show was awesome.
So that one was pretty cool. Basic cable had Goosebumps on Saturdays if you woke up early. The books was a big hit. Was it R.L. Einstein, right?
Yeah.
So those are pretty cool. So those are some of the books that I used to read. I know that I can watch scary movies. It's usually mainly in the day and like with no noise or no sound, and I'm just kind of like, oh wow, okay, whatever. I did see The Ring in theaters once. I specifically had to disconnect my TV and put a towel over the TV just because of that static. So that just shows you how well I cope with Halloween. So growing up, I know one of the biggest things that we used to go trick-or-treating was safety. I probably don't see it as much, but I mean, our neighborhood was just packed with kids. Number one thing was do not eat the jawbreakers unless you're with an adult because of how hard they were. All the little gimmicks and stuff that you need to be careful when you get your candies. What were your favorite candies growing up or getting during
My favorite Halloween candies growing up, of course, the Dum-Dums, the lollipops. I would take them from my little cousins when we all go together. You know, we would go in the truck. Everybody get off the truck, attack this house, attack that house. So I would definitely snag the Dum-Dum lollipops from my cousin's Halloween bags. But aside of candy, I feel like when it was Halloween time, I was always looking for the orange snowballs.
Oh yes, the coffee cakes.
Yes, they have them in pink, but for Halloween season, they're orange. And for some reason, I didn't want to eat the pink ones. Like,
Coconut.
yeah, I only wanted the orange ones. So it's not candy, but it was a snack that I would like to get. But for sure, the lollipops and anything sour. Of course, my parents would kind of like disinfect the candy. They would kind of like look at it, make sure there was nothing that was suspicious.
So the neighborhood that I grew up was kind of like a low income family, and all the candies that I would receive there were all from Mexico, right? Yeah, tamarindos, we had all these different types. And I remember one year my mom took us. We have this location here. It's called the Cimarron. And the Cimarron location where it's a little bit upscale place of living, and they used to give out full size Twix bars, full size Snickers, full size Baby Ruth. And that was the best Halloween ever. And ever since then, I was telling my mom, let's go to Cimarron. Let's go to Cimarron. Let's go. And they were giving them full size. I mean, I was stuck with small little chiclets. I was
the chiclets.
yeah, which are the best.
That
they
was
were
like,
great.
that was like
But they were so loose that as soon as you put them in your bag, they were all loose and on the floor.
True.
But yeah, going to this different type of income, neighborhood, we got those, and it was very different. It was pretty cool. I mean, we used to use pillow bags. I mean, a bunch of candies.
You would just get a bunch of like trash bags or like HEB bags, and we would just stuff them all up. You would hit up the Stripes because people didn't know that Stripes also would give out candy for Halloween. Oh yeah. So Stripes and Circle K or even HEB sometimes would do it, or like your local businesses was from would give out candy. So.
And I know times has changed, things are different, the safety, there's a lot more vehicles out there as well. So if you do go out there, be sure you're safe. I know my mom used to give us flashlights just to kind of, look around. So be respectful to one another. We do ask that. But growing up at Halloween, it was a big deal for us. My parents would decorate the front entrance and do the whole chainsaw. It's pretty cool. So my last question to you is, what is your favorite childhood memory of your mom?
My favorite childhood memory, Dad, I hope you're watching because you're going to see this and you're probably going to remember it and you're going to get emotional. But it was definitely growing up in my first house that I grew up in with my parents. Back then, I don't know if they still have them, but back then it was like the Halloween, like a pumpkin. It was like a bag, and you would fill it up with leaves.
Oh, yes.
And then you would tie it and you would decorate it on your front lawn. Right. My parents were obsessed with getting those. So it was something that my dad and I would bond over. We would put maybe about 4 of them, and there were huge bags of the jack-o'-lanterns. Well, jack-o'-lanterns because it has a face.
Right.
Without it as a pumpkin. My mom would never let me forget that as a child. Called it a jack-o'-lantern.
We'll make sure to put a stock photo so you guys know exactly
yeah.
what I'm talking about.
And so we would get like 4 or 5 of them, and my dad and I would go out and we'd pick all the leaves off of the trees that we had that would fall off, and then we'd fill up the bag, we'd tie them up, and we would take family photos.
So secretly he was using the to the yard
and also
make it memorable.
Yeah, but I would have to say that was something that I looked forward to as a child, and it was probably one of my favorite memories as a child. Filling up the jack-o'-lantern bags with leaves to decorate the front lawn with my dad.
Well, thank you for being on the show for this Halloween edition. Talk. We'd like to thank our sponsors, HEB, Bristol, and Whataburger. Make sure you comment, like, share on our social media page, website. We have Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Until next time, thank you all and be safe.